cover 4 areas, okay? We're going to do a brief recap on what I would imagine you've already been told about Ultrabeat. Next thing, next aim and objective, we're going to look at the ways to edit patterns, bring them into the arrangement window and save those patterns. And we're also, time permitting as well, we're going to look at using Ultrabeat as a multi-output, and we're also going to look at how to separate a MIDI region. For assessment, I'll come around and see how you're getting on, and I'll just give you some pointers and top tips and things like that. All right. So first of all, looking at Ultrabeat, on the left-hand side, we've got the assignment section, which I gather you're all quite familiar with, where we can allocate any particular sound onto our keyboard. In that centre section, getting a little bit more complex there, that is the synthesis part of it, which is the way in which we can alter the sound. We can add modulation to it, we can add additional sounds to it, like noise or sine waves or square waves. All gets a bit messy and strange, but it's great for experimentation. We're not going to look so much at the synthesis part today. Further down, we can see our step sequencer, where we've got those little green bars and which ones are actually highlighted. And those little green bars are reference to how long the note, so to speak, is played for. So you can have a kind of gate effect on it. And the other thing, how hard that particular drum sound is struck as well. So if the line goes right up, I'm sort of down here, I'm looking at number 9, if that goes right up, then we're hitting that particular drum full strength. All right. Now the other thing which hopefully you have seen previously, if we go into full view, are you all familiar with full view?
You used that last time.
You did use full view last time. So yeah, clicking onto it, and you can therefore see the kind of matrix pattern of what sound is actually going to be activated. It's good to hear that you've already heard about that. Have you been shown as well how to then drag that pattern into the track?
Yeah, there's something that's got like little dots on it down there somewhere.
Yeah.
And you drag it.
That's
yeah,
it.
there is the grey one down on the left-hand corner.
Lower left side, it says pattern drag to track. So that's, I would say that's a very brief overview. We can audition any of these sounds. So as we tap it on the keyboard, you can hear it. Have you also been shown how to change the drum kit as well?
Yeah, briefly, but I can't remember that.
Not a problem. In this area up here where it says default, if you pull down default, you can see there various drum kits. Now I think one of the interesting things to do, let's face it, drums, certain patterns are standard. So for instance, if you think about pop music, it's typically kick, snare, kick, snare. That pattern's not going to change, so the pattern is always the same, but the sounds are going to change. So you might have the right pattern, you just need to change the sounds around. Keep that in mind for some additional programming skills on that. Likewise with a lot of contemporary dance, you've always got kick drum going on, and then snare on beats 2 and 4. So once again, the pattern with some of these various loops that we've got. Should mention down here, these are some of the patterns that we can actually load straight up into Ultrabeat. So if you just even want to look at some of those and listen to them, then go back to the full view. There's that particular pattern, we can audition it. That's out of it. Try another sequence. Then if you edit any of these, if you wanted to remove some of these, or add a different sound in its place, obviously you can do that. And then afterwards, you can then save it to the sequence. Copy the sequence, go down to a different number that doesn't have SQ next to it. Okay? SQ means there's already something that's been programmed in there. Select a blank one, and then we can paste it. So there is my new sequence. It's my edit. It's something I've created. It's my creativity. I've put it in there. That's what I'm going to be using. So it's great in the way in which you can actually build your sequences up and just know which sequence number is going to go within a block area. What I'd like you to do for about the next 20 minutes or so, I'd like you to experiment around the interface, look over it, listen to some of the sequences, drag them into the arrangement window. As we can see, remember our drag to arrangement window. And try just some of the basic editing and try some of the different drum sounds and see whether or not what you get is a pattern going. Alright? Does that give you something to work on? And I'll come around and see you individually and say, hey, get on that sound, hey, get on that loop. Nice, simple little exercise to start you off. Don't worry about it, it's like a cue at the moment, just stay focused. Are you talking about just one individual sound? You can open a whole set where we've got default, pull that down, drum kits. There's loads of different drum kits there. Just click on it, and that will load. Watch all these names, and they're all going to change when you click on that. The whole lot. There you go, all change. Have a little audition, a little listen, you can just click on the keyboard. Either on there, or on that keyboard on there. Check that out.
Do I need to drag it into the arrange area before I can play it, or can I play it?
No, you can listen to it just from the sequence of turning that on.
Yeah, maybe pushing that. Awesome.
How you getting on, alright? Just do the sequences. Feel free to edit any of those and then copy it and resave it into a new blank area. Guys, just attention for 1 sec. Try and get, once you've got a pattern going on that perhaps you create yourself and you think this is going somewhere, like to try and get 8 bars down. Alright, so listening to it as an 8-bar loop, thinking, yep, that's a good sort of backbone to the track that I've got in mind. Yeah.